I am Blaze Bailey. You are experiencing probably the best show in the world, Poppitt's Corner.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a brand new episode of Poppitt's Corner, and I'd like to bring back on the main man himself, the undisputed champion of Southern California and LA in general, in my opinion, the great Jason Tyler. Jason, how you doing, man? I appreciate a moment of your time and coming back on.
Tanner, thanks for having me on, brother. I'm doing good, hanging in there. Just getting back into the swing of things, getting out of the house a little more, finally.
Heck yeah, man. Dude, so what is new with you before we even get started and whatever's going to transpire here?
Let's see. Personally, I don't know if you knew I had back surgery back in July 2021. I got injured in August of 2020. So, that's right a few months after the lockdown, which was March of 2020. The pandemic started. And, at the time I was working at Nuclear Blast Records still, and everything stopped. And we stopped putting out albums for a few months, and the bands weren't touring for obvious reasons. So our hours, there was nothing to do, really. We cleaned everything up. We tried to stay busy. And I wasn't going to, I went and got a second job at Vaughn's, a company I used to work for that I had experience with. And I got hired immediately on the phone with the corporate people. They hired me to clean the store. And then I showed the management right away. I knew how to stock shelves and stuff. And they're like, wait a second, this guy knows what he's doing. So the store director, she put me in as a day stocker, and I would help fill up. I kind of pitched her my own position. It's something I used to do for another store director in Lakewood back in my early 20s when I first moved into that area. And, we'd fill up the stuff that sells fast to make sure it's still full, like water, beer, soda. Soda has their own merchandisers usually. So usually grocery items, which are the grocery department, which is stuff that's not general merchandise, but they like to push the alcohol. So I'd fill the beer, and sometimes I'd cover for the. And anyway, so I started this day stocking thing, and back in the day, you would clock over into another department to make more money because you were doing something other than your bagging groceries or whatever. And I wasn't a checker. Which is good because if you're a checker and a stocker, they can call you up to the register and bug you all day. So it was rad. I was just stocking shelves and roaming around the store. I was having fun. I was moving, these U-boats, these 6-wheel carts with, there's these big bars to hold stuff onto the U-boat that are about 6 to 7 feet tall. And I would fill that completely up with waters and wheel it out to the aisle and fill up the shelves, and then wheel it over to get more water. And I was moving those 35 packs of water, the bags of ice in the front. During the summer, it was hot. The ice sells fast. So I was just, working out at work. This is when the gyms were closed. All the venues and bars were closed. So the music industry got shut down, even the restaurants. And I just got injured. I hurt my back. And I got hurt at the grocery store. And then I was working the next morning at the record label, just picking an order. I had a CD and a my clipboard in my hand, and I just collapsed to the floor. Something happened to my back the next morning, and I had to go home and get sent to the clinic. And so Vaughn's, it was this workers' comp case that lasted forever, and I worked on the injury for almost a year, from August to June 2021. And the surgeon, he wanted me to have the lumbar fusion back surgery. And I wasn't really was trying to do everything besides that. Like I did physical therapy, acupuncture, trying to fix the problem another way besides having surgery, and I ended up realizing that I needed this surgery done, and so when I finally had it done in July of 2021, I was told I was going to have 100% recovery, but it's been a long battle. It'll be 2 years in July. This is May of 2023 now, so in 2 months, less than 2 months, it'll be 2 years post surgery. I was cleared to swim and work out lightly about a month after the surgery. And when I first got out of the hospital, I was on a walker. Luckily, my dad and his girlfriend in Fountain Valley, which was right around the corner from the hospital. I was at Orange Coast Medical Center right off Brookhurst in the 405. They took care of me for about a week or two. She cooked meals for me. This is Debbie, my dad's girlfriend, and she still has her place, luckily, in Fountain Valley, and then they have a place in Palm Desert on the golf course, my dad and her. And, so I'm so grateful for her, being there. And it really helped me because, like, post-surgery, my diet, these are things that have all become so important to me for many reasons. Help my health, my diet, getting enough sleep, trying to be positive and focus on the positive every day. It's been my sobriety date for alcohol and narcotics would be December 27th, 2019. So, I didn't want to take the pain medication I was prescribed to help me I took a couple pills the first week out of the hospital, and then I just stopped taking them, and that was under advice from my surgeon. I knew that was in my best interest, and my girlfriend also supported that, and she said, you probably shouldn't be taking those, and so I didn't, and I just took Tylenol, and yeah, it's been rough. The recovery's I'm still recovering. I still have nerve problems in my left leg, my hip, my hamstring, my left calf, all the way into my left foot and my big toe on the left side. It's really uncomfortable to sleep still. This is still, 2 years later. The band, we had finished up Beyond Cryptic's Vault in 2021. I finalized the artwork and ordered the cassettes right before I went into surgery, and then we didn't. There were no shows, and I wasn't physically able to perform for a while. So we had the 2020 album and the 2021 album that never got pushed, and so I was just eager to play again, and that's kind of why we did those few shows at the end of 2022 in September and October. And but I was in a lot of pain at those gigs. Also, I was in a lot of pain when I tracked Beyond Cryptic's Vault because I had been injured but I hadn't had the surgery yet. So I told Aaron, I can come in and track, but I'm in a lot of pain. So it was really hard to stand up then. I'd have to sit a lot, but we got it done. That album, we had 3 originals and a lot of cover tracks. We wanted to do something fun during the pandemic while we were waiting to play again. So we covered some Metallica, some Slayer, Pantera, Killswitch Engage, which is a song that we used to play when I was in All God's Kill, and they had Irby Brady singing for Lazarus Casket. I would join them on stage to do that cover together as a duo, and we had a blast doing it. So the band, even with lineup changes, knows that song. So that was a no-brainer. And then we covered also, we did our own version of Thriller by Michael Jackson. That's my favorite. I think the For Whom the Bell Tolls Metallica was awesome. Daniel Gaillard at the time was our bass player. He moved to Florida now, so we lost him, unfortunately. But dude, the bass distortion, whatever he did on the intro of that was it was like Cliff, his spirit came into this recording, and I'm like, dude, you killed it on that track. And I think that's for the metal covers. I think that's the one that came out the best overall.
So you've been doing a lot of stuff since we last spoke, because I believe we last spoke April or May of like 2020. I have to go back and I posted an old episode. And I think this was probably like just when you
Or
actually
2019 maybe.
no, this was during the
Okay,
2020. The whole
So it was right when
thing.
the lockdown started.
Yes, and none of us knew what was going on.
I think I started the job
Either
right then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so it was kind of
The
hard
second
for us.
job.
Yes, so it was kind of hard for us to get together because of that.
On that note, real quick, my schedule, because I never left the record label, it was Monday through Friday, and then doubles Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and weekends at the grocery store. So I had no days off, and I worked doubles 3 days a week.
That's a lot.
So that probably contributed to the back injury as well.
So my initial question, which is obviously a lot's happened since, and where you're at nowadays, how are you just in terms of your motor functionality, kind of, as you're sitting here today, obviously compared to 2 years ago? I mean, is it hard for you to drive? Is it hard for you to like stand up a lot, or where are you at now?
Long drives are a little uncomfortable. I get pain in my left leg and my lower back, but I'm a lot better today than I was a couple years ago, or even last year, or even a couple months ago. And as far as going out, it's hard for me to stand in place for very long at all, or to sit for a long time. I need to be able to extend my left leg, like I am right now, actually. And
So, but if you're constantly moving, then it's okay. So if it's just you're
to a certain point in the day, there'll be a certain point of the day, almost every day, where my body's kind of like, get to bed and ice yourself, But if I like Saturday night, I had a gig. I didn't get home till about 1:30 in the morning, and I just the way I throw a show now is I have everything staffed, so I'm kind of like the event organizer and the guy that handles the funds at the end of the night to keep everything accountable and honest. And I'll go for walks like every half hour around the venue. So at the Regal, I'd go all the way around the alley, around the block. I can go get a cup of coffee, sit down for a while, and then take another walk a half hour later. So if I stay moving, I'm okay. Yeah. I'm still working on things with my neurologist, physical therapy. Basically, I have to do about an hour of physical therapy or more every morning, right when I get up. And that includes like walking, stretching, yoga, meditation. I do a lot of like prayer and meditation together, and I have morning devotionals I read. In Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm not ashamed to admit that. That's something I so I've abstained. What I was saying earlier, I've abstained from alcoholics and narcotics since December 27th of 2019. I haven't done any.
Right.
So
can
I
you
used to enjoy alcohol and liquor and cocaine and other stuff, stuff like that. And I'm glad that I stopped.
How about even can you have caffeine? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I drink caffeine. I love coffee and tea. Yeah.
So
but that's something I've also, because of the medications I'm taking, I was having seizures, if you remember. I had one at my birthday party, the punk night.
Right, we caught it.
We were on the air, and we caught it on video. So we showed that to my neurologist, and I'm taking a medication for that that's pretty hefty, that has some weird side effects, but I'm kind of used to it now. And I haven't had any episodes since I started the medication.
So you actually...
And you can't drink if you're taking it. You're not supposed to drink if you take that medication. So luckily, everything worked out for me.
So back up real quick. You actually have had to show what one looked like, just because
there's different types of epilepsy.
Okay,
yeah.
so
there's
he or
violent
she had
shaking. There's Yeah, there's that one I had on camera that when we were doing the broadcast, the
Yeah,
punk
we didn't know
night,
what the fuck was going on. Andy
I
was all
nodded
making
off, and then I came right
Yeah.
back to the conversation. And like in my mind, I never left. I like had a blacked out like that and came back. But on the video, I'm gone for like 30
So,
to
but
60 seconds.
What I
think,
wanted to
maybe
ask
longer.
about that moment, though, and I'm sorry to talk over you.
No, it's fine.
I typically don't like doing that, but for this particular case, I don't want to forget this point of asking you is did all of that kind of stress and maybe lack of sleep, because you were doing a lot of stuff at that time, promoting, working a lot. I mean, you were going hard during a time, obviously, when not a lot of people were kind of doing that. And I'm just curious, did that play any sort of part into you having those kinds of seizures?
Possibly. I mean, I think the number one thing is it's genetic, and my father had them at the same age I started having them, so I was able to use that info to give my doctor the medication my dad takes that worked for him. My aunt, my dad's sister, also has them. My little sister had them when she was little, Lauren. I remember that scared the crap out of my stepmom and my dad. And I remember when my dad had them. I remember I would be at my dad's every other weekend, and I was in my room playing, and I heard something in the kitchen, and I ran out there, and he was icing. He fell and hit his head, and he was like, yeah, he had one. And
So I'm epileptic as well. Not too many people know. That's why it's crazy for me to even talk about it, because that somebody else experiences that. Typically I don't talk about this, but I love you, and I want to kind of get more information from people that maybe that do have it, that maybe aren't as educated, because I'm not as educated as
well,
as I should be.
drinking does not help
Right.
epilepsy, and you can have another thing is, if you're an alcoholic and a heavy drinker, you can have seizures because of withdrawal from alcohol. As I understand it. So there's that, and also I think a factor contributing to maybe me starting to have them was quitting the drugs and alcohol as well, because my body was used to those substances, and it could have been some form of withdrawal, happening. I'm not sure. I did, I was very honest with my doctors throughout the diagnosis of everything. So they were testing my heart and the blood flow and all that stuff and whatever they do.
Because the one I used to have was where I would just fall asleep, and you wouldn't even know. I would just stop breathing. Now I know it's another form of. I don't think it's the same one you had, because yours was kind of just alcohol, or maybe it is. Maybe it is the same one you had, where I literally would just fall asleep and stop breathing. Is that kind of what you were experiencing?
I
from
think
your doctors telling you?
I just realized that I was having quite a few of them before I got diagnosed, but a lot of them were happening when I was trying to fall asleep, like in bed, and they were like, I would get dizzy while I was half asleep, and I thought, I was just dreaming, but they were seizures. There were quite a few of them. Now that I think back about it, but I didn't know what was happening.
Now, how harmful were they towards any part of your body? Did you have any kind of after? I don't know if they're after effects, but just long-term effects because of that. Or was it just kind of like some of your neurons weren't firing, and that's what caused it? Again, I don't know much about. I'm
not sure. I just know it was happening for a while before we caught it on camera and got it diagnosed. Yeah.
Fucking brutal.
And the next one I had after the one on camera, I was at D Piazza's at my friend Rob's punk show, and I was sitting on a bar stool eating pizza, having a soda, and I woke up on the ground face up with the guy working there trying to call the paramedics, and I'm like, I knew what had happened. I'm like, no, I'm okay. I just had a seizure. And so, yeah, I think that was the last one I had. Yeah, and then we got the medication. I take a generic Keppra, which is what my dad took, I think. And there's some gnarly side effects if you look up that drug, hallucinations, dehydration, and there's a list of side effects if we looked up the medication. But Yeah, I remember when I first started taking it, I didn't like the medication at all. I felt weird. Then I got used to it, and then I realized it's. I haven't had a seizure since, so
That's
it's
that's
great.
amazing.
And the thing I was scared about the most is what if this happens when I'm driving, you know? So, and that has happened to some of my family members before. I think both my dad and my aunt. So
That's scary
that
shit.
is
Dude.
very scary. Yeah. So
Can
it's
we
a serious thing.
Can we go to like a different kind of subject? I'll try and make it as positive as I can here. But just when you had your accident at work and whatnot, what were some of the things that you kind of had to do differently at first? Because again, I don't believe we've spoken on record about this since then. So I would like to get some sort of footing as to like, did you have to change up your everyday thing to where you couldn't work at all, or was it
I worked
that bad?
both jobs through the whole August through June, but I was in a lot of pain, and I was doing physical therapy and acupuncture sessions outside of my work hours, and trying to diagnose the back injury, and I ended up being recommended to have the surgery. So yeah, it was rough. I'd have to take extra breaks to stretch, and that's when I started the physical therapy every morning and after work
Dedication.
routine. And it's a real pain in the ass, man. I'm telling you that right now. I have to take my yoga mat with me when Randy and I take a vacation, even if it's for one night at a hotel. I bring that with me. I get up before her or while she's getting ready. I do my stretching and try to do as much as I can. Obviously, I'll shorten it when I have some social things going on, but I don't want to neglect it because then I'll pay the price usually. I feel like I'm coming along and healing finally, but I've been doing the work in the gym and swimming, walking, stretching, doing physical therapy as often as possible. And it led to it was out of my control, all of this, and it led me down this new path, this new career path for me. And I, did what I had to do to get my substitute teaching credential, and I just started that in January of 2023. And I'm already accepted at Cal State Dominguez Hills, starting the social science teaching credential program in August. So I should be done fall, spring, summer semester. I should have a full-time teaching credential by then, and I'll be applying to be a high school teacher somewhere. Wow. Right now, I work for the ABC Unified School District. So
wow, good for you.
I'm making way more money. I'm part-time as a sub. A lot of times I have an open period off so I can get a longer lunch, or I can sit there and study or read a book. It's like I'm back in high school, but I'm an adult. It's weird. And they all still wear like the heavy metal shirts, and some of them might not even know the material, but it's a real trendy thing, and it's cool. It reminds me of being in high school, but I'm not a kid, but I feel mentally sometimes like I'm just like them. And, I don't really tell them that I'm in a band or anything yet, but just this last week, the teacher I subbed for, who I got to meet in person in the morning because he was on campus for meetings, he had one of his favorite students back as a guest speaker for the whole day. And he's a hip-hop artist that's kind of blown up. They played the Insane Clown Posse Festival that they do. I believe it's in Ohio. I forget what it's, the Juggalo Fest. Yeah, it's a big thing. I've seen documentaries on it. It's pretty crazy. It's like Woodstock meets a carnival, kind of, and just crazy fans. They're passionate about that band, and that's the I guess the fans that follow that band are called Juggalo. So they made this festival, Juggalo Fest. Anyway, when they mentioned that they were on that, I knew that they had to have some kind of they had to have some good stuff happening. Anyway, so yeah, this kid was he's 27 now, but it was just rad because he just got I just kind of supervised the classroom, and he got the kids to engage in a debate. One of the debates that he did with the class was, do you feel that technology and social media is a good thing or a bad thing? And he wanted 5 people to pick a side and debate it, and I was so impressed at these kids being respectful to each other and being really intelligent about this discussion, like even more intelligent than adults at shows. Like these kids blew my mind. Like
there's hope.
I feel like the kids get a bad stereotype that, they're on their social media and they're all this and that. But, some of them know that it's not a great thing,
Well, not only that, but okay. So,
but it has its positives also.
Sure. Schools get a bad rep nowadays because literally all people think that are being taught at schools and whatnot is how to hate. If you're white, you're a piece of shit. That's literally like CRT or whatever, critical race theory. Like that's all people now. Most of like my podcasts that I listen to, that's like all they think school is. I don't know. I haven't been to school in a long time, so maybe you can educate me on. As far
I'm
as
just
that
a
goes.
sub, so I get the sub plans from the teacher, and a lot of times it's all on their Google Chromebook, and the teacher has a Google Classroom set up where they link up with the students. Even when they're not in the class, they can like time assignments to be posted, and the students just log in to their profile and then see the assignment, the worksheet, or the quiz or whatever, and they work on it and submit it digitally, and then the instructor can grade it and talk and email the students. So yeah, there's a lot of that going on. Even when the main teacher is not in the classroom, they can what am I trying to say? They can just
give feedback or something to it?
just reach out to each other. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Communicate. Okay. That's what I'm thinking of. Sorry.
Like what we're
Got
doing
distracted. Yeah.
Okay, so but I'm saying my point is so there's what's impressing me about this conversation is that you're actually teaching people other outside skills. Like debate is really important. To have a debate.
That was the guest speaker, and that was really cool. So right now I'm a sub, so I'm I didn't want to be like the hard ass sub, like sending people to the office, or if they're a little disruptive, being like, go to the intervention counseling center,
or they're
because
on their phone.
Yeah, I just I lay down the law. I'm a little more outgoing as a sub than I was in January because I was brand new, and there's times when I have a teacher assistant who's usually there with the instructor, and like I got involved even though I might not know the advanced math. Like I never know what I'm going to sub for, and luckily it's been a lot of like AP courses, which are advanced courses, and I usually stick to high schools, but there's Tracy High School, which is a continuation high school, so that's kids that are like the alcoholic kids or whatever, the kids like me.
Learning disability?
No, these are kids that dropped out of high school for whatever reason because they had issues. Like maybe the girl got pregnant, or one of the kids had a substance abuse problem for a while, and then they had to, they missed so much at their high school, they had to go to this school to get back into high school. It's kind of like a continuation high school where you get your GED, whatever. But if they graduate complete what Tracy's asking, they get to go back to high school.
And
from what I understand,
your high school degree.
I think they can get their diploma there too. So there's that end of the spectrum. Then there's Whitney High School, which is there's not very many white people there at all. They're really smart, and some of them are 7th graders, which kind of tricked me because I was only planning to work with 9th through 12th graders. So I'm with these little 12 and 13-year-olds, but they're super smart because these are honor students. So they're like advanced college prep courses that they're taking at 13, 14 years old, which is amazing,
Now,
so I don't get many problems with kids like that. And then I'm in regular high schools like Gar, Artesia, Cerritos High, and there's one other I'm forgetting.
Now, with all these,
That's
though,
about it.
I'm curious. Which do you prefer teaching at? Which is
I like all of them, actually.
So, what are some benefits to teaching, 7th through 8th or 9th compared to, say, a full blown high school or the continuation? Like, what do they have?
Well,
in
some of
common
some of the continuation students are still not giving a shit. You can just tell, and some of those students just walk out of class. But the whole campus is locked. The gates are locked, and there's chaperones outside, so they'll get thrown back into class or sent home or sent to a counselor or whatever. But then the kids that really want to learn, they're very self-starting and motivated on their own, and they work hard, and I don't have really much I have to do to discipline them or anything. And then there's the regular high school kids where you have the jocks, the athletes, the students that are excelling in the class, and the students that might need some extra help and attention in the class. So I think regular high school would probably be where I could be of most use. So maybe I could find a kid that's about to go down the wrong path and kind of tell them some of my stories. Like just the fact that I was all in, like, working in the music business, and kind of like I dedicated from 2010 to 2021 or longer, if you include my education at Cal State Fullerton, to get the degrees I have in communications, entertainment, and radio, TV, film. Yeah, I just dedicated my whole life to that for so long, and it's just crazy that now I'm going back to school to get a third degree in history, so I could teach
now,
full time.
are there any correlations between like the music scene, the metal scene, and teaching? Like, do you get some of the same kind of I don't know, I would almost call them highs, but just like, are there any kind of things where you can you like any correlations? I guess I know it's a weird kind of question, but I'm just curious in terms of, do you get some of the same benefits, teaching than you would in the metal scene?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I was an event coordinator, which I'm still doing a little bit of this summer before I start the next semester, being able to help another musician and band put on a good event, and like the birthday party I had for my friend Nanette Saturday night, she was so happy that I was involved, and I was happy that she invited me to be involved. And I saw all these punk rockers, friends from the Long Beach and Orange County area I haven't really seen since before the pandemic. So you're talking 2019, 2018. And, some of the bands like Dissension have been around for a long time, Public Nuisance. Some of these punk bands formed in the 80s, and they're older than me, but I met them in Long Beach, and, and a lot of them are also in, I don't want to blow their anonymity. A lot of them don't drink anymore either. So I've always looked up to them because I think before I stopped drinking that I needed to stop drinking, if that makes sense. I knew that, yeah, there's a difference between an alcoholic and someone that can just drink a lot. Like the alcoholic, I learned that the first beer is the thing that sets off the obsession and the craving, and it's unstoppable until you have the tools and work the program to the fullest, which takes time. And that's something I've done while I've been injured this whole time. I started before. In 2019, I started going to support groups for that. And what attracted me most to AA is the fact that it's allowed me to become a better person. It's more than just teaching you how not to drink. It's all these other things. And then what happened to me is it led me back to my higher power. And I ended up going, what's crazy, this new guy, my friend Dean, who just got 9 months sober, he took me to his brother's church on Friday night to this program called Celebrate Recovery. And It's a Christian-based recovery program, but it's open to not just alcoholics, addicts, people that have codependency problems, overeating, whatever you're battling. You come Friday night and you sing some songs, and you can go to the men's and women's support groups at the end of the night. And then what's crazy is I started talking to enough of the leaders and the guys around there that they said, hey, one of the first guys I got a phone number for was the lead worship guy who plays guitar and sings. For obvious reasons, he's a musician. I'm a musician. We clicked. We're good friends now. Anyway, they brought me in. They moved it from this small room upstairs to the Spanish chapel in the back of the parking lot, which is a little bigger because we kept growing and growing. And they have me, I'm of service being the sound man or the slideshow person, the tech team. And I'm learning the digital board. I'm more of an analog guy, like this board here. But once I learned how to use that board a little bit, which I'm still learning, it's been a rad thing to use all my previous experience in music and sound and then be able to do it once a week on Friday nights at that church is pretty awesome, you know? So
May I ask you something in regards to AA in terms of, because again, I was never like a big drinker. You know me. I have one every, I don't know, couple months, if that. But I kind of always needed something to replace that kind of process. Like, so instead of coming home, going in the fridge and getting a beer, I now come home and go to the tea kettle, pour the water. I just needed a process to replace.
yeah,
And I'm not like a big drinker, but I just needed to have something, to drink. I just like the process of where I'm at now. Now, for you, did you have to have something like that to replace that, like, urge as to almost like I need something to replace me? Like, I don't know, was it water? Was it coffee? Was it tea?
I started drinking a lot more coffee. But yeah, you, as an alcoholic or an addict, you need to replace that. And the thing you find out is you really need to take the third step and find a power greater than yourself to overcome that, or else you're going to be fidgety and come back to it, usually because we end up typically going back to our old behaviors because we're so used to them. Because for some of us, like me, I picked up my first beer. See, I thought it was 17, but then I found out from my dad that he gave me sips of his beer at a much younger age, just recently. So that makes more sense to me now. But anyway, when I had my first beer that I remembered at 17, I really liked the effect of it right away. And, then of course, I got into marijuana and psychedelics, and then I never thought I would do, anything any street drugs or anything like that. But I ended up trying them and never got too crazy, but I was around a lot of people that partied hard, and I put myself in some weird situations.
Well, you're also ingrained in a fucking cult that like preys upon people drinking. Like, literally, you're in a clique of a metal scene out here where literally the main goal is to get people out to a bar to drink alcohol.
Well, yeah, that's funny that you brought that up, because I was planning to do a show in a specific city at a specific venue with another promoter for August. And once we found out the details and that the event had to have this many thousands of dollars made at the bar for us to even or else we'd have to pay them to use the venue. I was like, I told him or her, let's keep it like that. No, that's ridiculous. Find another venue. And the thing is, there's not as many places to do the shows as there were before the pandemic. So maybe that's why there's a lot of bands that were putting out records that they're inactive. There's a lot of bands that haven't come back yet.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know what's really going on.
Well, but here's where I'm getting with this. For you being in such a metal scene that housed, like, that's sadly the goal is to sell poison. That's what alcohol is.
Right.
How did you specifically balance, and maybe the whole thing with 2020, 2021, 22 played a part in in your recovery and not being around those places, and now that you're kind of around those places again, how are you just in terms of handling that specific?
I'm way more comfortable now. There was a year from 2017 when I had my hernia removal till 2019 when I put down the drink for good, where I did quit for a whole year, and then I drank occasionally for a year. So I already was working at bars, doing sound and events, and being around it and being tested immediately right away. And for the most part, I'd say I passed. But it was uncomfortable for a while. But I mean, actually, a lot of people respect me for sticking with it and fighting it. And it's not as much as a struggle as it was at first now for me, because it's been a few years. But it's still crazy. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, just to see. It's a big part of the music industry, obviously. And, just like, football, racing, the sponsorship, the commercials, that's a big money business, alcohol, cigarettes, etc. So, yeah, that's something that's, pharmaceuticals. I mean, that's a whole nother subject, right? So
We could do literally a whole episode just on that.
yeah. So
So with this in mind, how are you just in terms of performing wise? I mean, obviously you're still recovering, and you said you were playing shows even in like 2022.
yeah,
and I'm curious
September and October.
And I'm curious how you were handling the stage at that specific time, compared to obviously when you play a show, in the coming months or whatever. I'd love to get your take on this. Is just how you're managing the stage just as a frontman differently now compared to, I mean, even then being in tremendous pain.
Yeah, I need to keep moving around. That's why the one show you guys came to, when the mic cables went out and I was stuck where I couldn't move much, I was in a lot more pain. So like our first show, which is going to be coming back here, is going to be July 16th at Alex's Bar in Long Beach.
Right. So are you still
That's a
booking?
wide stage.
Right.
So
Are you still booking shows, or are you just doing kind of like the occasional kind of one-off things just to see what happens?
July 16th.
Okay.
Alex's Bar. I'm managing Lazarus Casket with ADHD Entertainment now. That I made that decision a long time ago. But then I talked to my friend Rob from Carpet, a Long Beach punk band, and we used to do his birthday together, which is every August. And I said, hey, did you plan your birthday party yet? And he said no, and he wanted me to do it with him. And then he said, by the way, I have this April 1st date at the Regal Inn, which is basically my home, and you want to do it together. And then my girl's birthday, which was just this last Saturday, do you want to help her with that? And I said, sure. So I'm kind of like managing Carpet to some extent.
Okay.
And they're doing a great job getting on big shows on their own. But when it comes to throwing, the Regal Inn's a real DIY setup. So
Right, but what I'm getting with this is you're not booking every single day like you were. But obviously, you have something that's kind of replaced that whole thing of booking every night. So you're having something to look forward to. But this is kind of just like the bonus, like the cherry on top. I would say like you booking a couple shows is kind of like the cherry on top.
it's kind of cool to. There's a lot of things I questioned because of the rehabilitation after the surgery and what I'm going through spiritually. Like, do I even still want to be in this aggressive, extreme metal band anymore? Am I that angry still? That's something I think about. Do I still want to throw events? That's something I've thought about. Do I still want to go to shows that are metal? Or would I rather just go see Hall & Oates or 311 or whatever and chill? These are all things that I think about. And there's some things I want to go see. What's weird is there's this new metal revolution that's happening right now. There was Sick New World Fest in Vegas the other day. They did a fantastic job, it looks like. Their social media is killing it. if you look at the video reels and cuts they've done of clips of each band playing, I mean, these are all the bands that blew up in the 90s and 2000s played pretty much, like Korn, POD, Cold, System of a Down.
Biscuit.
They didn't play this one, but they are playing other stuff. I was wondering why they weren't on it. They must not have been available. Who else? Coal Chamber, first show since 2015. They just played Saturday in Vegas at Sick New World Fest, and they're coming around. Mudvayne's back. I don't think they played that festival, but Mudvayne and Coal Chamber are touring together. I actually got my $25 ticket the other day. They're playing in Irvine. I think it's August 17th. I have to go see that. It's Mudvayne, Coal Chamber, Guar, Nonpoint, and Butcher Babies. Butcher Babies I've toured with for 5 weeks together when I was the merchandise manager for Devil You Know, who's now known as Light the Torch, with Black Label Society. It was Black Label Society, Light the Torch, Down as a special guest for 2 weeks, and Butcher Babies. So that tour was a lot of fun, and I know those girls really well.
I want to ask a follow-up to your point, though, of, is it too aggressive? Do I want to...
Yeah, so those are all things that I questioned. Can I physically handle these things? Do I want to do them anymore? And as I've let go of trying to control everything myself and using my own willpower to get my way out of everything and just let things flow spiritually and happen naturally, all those things have slowly come back to me. But I also have to balance them because I know that I start a 15-unit semester on August 28th, and I'll be substitute teaching at the same time. So I have this short window from now, what is it, May 16th?
Whatever it is. I don't want to date the episode, but
right.
Yeah. So my point is...
Till the end of the summer, I have a window to play some shows and throw some shows, so I'm doing that.
But my point is, so you let a lot of things go, and then whatever kind of came back to you, that's what was important. I'm kind of finding that out too. I let a lot of things go, let a lot of people go out of my life.
Yeah.
And the people that came back and actually support, that's my focus now. Yeah. Instead of me thinking that I need to take on the whole world and this, that, and the other. It's no, I know who I am. I know who my friends are. I like doing these things because I like being with my friends. Case in point, Madras. I still love playing in Madras because my friends are in the band. It's not just me taking on the whole fucking world to get as many records out and things as possible anymore. It's I kind of let that go.
Yeah,
I'm kind of in the moment where I'm hey, do you want to play a show with us? And it's that's kind of like a high school reunion thing. Yeah. That's my excuse to kind of get out. And
we've only had...
Was it like that for you is my point, is my question.
We've only had the one rehearsal at the end of April, and then we have another one in a couple weeks here in May. And but when we all saw each other, which we hadn't seen each other all in person unless they've been tracking with Aaron one-on-one to do the new album, we all gave each other hugs, and we're so happy to see each other. And that was cool because I feel like the last time we were getting together to do those small handfuls of shows in 2022, not only was I in a lot of pain, I had to sit on a stool during rehearsal. I feel a lot more comfortable from the one rehearsal we've done. I'd say I've come a long way physically, and these shows are going to be much more fun for me because I'm not going to be in so much pain.
But I'm saying your thinking is completely different now. You realize who you are, what's actually important, and that's a huge thing that most people don't realize until they get older.
I'm not. I've changed a lot mentally, physically, spiritually. I'm not gonna probably be cursing at all in any of these new songs, but when we're playing Aaron's birthday show, because of the new bass player and us having limited time to schedule rehearsals because everyone has different jobs, we're only doing every other Saturday right now. We're playing old stuff, so I'm the lyrics to some of that stuff. So
but you enjoy.
But the new songs are totally different,
but you enjoy playing them because you're with your friends. That's the bigger picture. It's not like this whole, do I want to still be in this because of the music? That's kind of, almost taking like a back seat because you're with your friends and you enjoy playing together, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that I do. I mean, I hope I'm 45 now. And I'm lucky to be able to walk again. So I'm just grateful to play with these guys still. I'm not looking to, at my age, I would like to play good shows and open for big bands if possible, but just playing at a cool spot. And you can see what I can do at a small dive bar too. If we can fill it and have friends there and everyone have fun, then I have no problem playing those types of shows either, or backyards, whatever. I just want to have fun again. But I also have to think about my physical,
Ailments and things. Yeah.
comfortable. I have to be able to move and walk around. And like I went to see Cold at the Parish Room at the House of Blues Anaheim. It was nearly sold out, and I was a little uncomfortable. This was just a couple weeks ago. I had an ADA seat, a chair, but it was against the wall to the right, and there was a rope in front of us, and the people going backstage, back and forth in front of us, and I had to sit to look at the stage like this to my right. I ended up just standing up towards the end and being in the crowd and pacing around because I was in pain from that seat, and that sitting situation. So little stuff like that I really have no control over. I can only try to ask a venue for
accommodations
a
or
chair.
something like that.
Like 1720, I don't know if I can go there. I heard I could get a chair, but there's not many chairs in that place.
I mean, yeah, you would have to kind of.
I think I'm going to try to go to something soon here to support my friends, but yeah, I don't like when I've been in there for Deicide, it was really hot and sweaty and there was no comfortable place to sit. But then I did go see the Legion. That was my last death metal show, the Legion anniversary show. But that was at the Regent. Yeah, and I called ahead, and they gave me my own table that had my name on it, and I had a chair. But I that was another place where I saw, my metalhead friends I hadn't seen in a while, like Boris from Let 'Em Census and Carlos, Dr. Death from Goratorium was there. I remember running into some friends that I hadn't seen in a while, and all these guys are really supportive of me not drinking as well, and they know that But what's cool is they'll come and, hey, do you want a soda or Red Bull or water, or they'll offer me a non-alcoholic drink. So I think I've been really active on my social media before I deleted them, that people know that that I'm no longer drinking. So it's been kind of cool, and I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from people who might eventually want help or want to stop, because it's not easy to stop. So they just have given me a lot of positive reinforcement on just going through with it, because a lot of people can't stop drinking. It's not easy. I mean, it's a pain in the ass, really. It can be very uncomfortable. I mean, there were times when I was stuck in my room in pain so many nights these last couple years that it would have been very easy for me to just say fuck it and go get a bottle of whiskey, and drink alone in my room. But I knew that wasn't going to help me get up and do physical therapy the next morning or the next, because the way I drink, it's not just if I drink heavily one night, it's going to carry over into the next few weeks or whatever it's going to be. It's just a bad cycle,
Did you ever get tired of being throwing up every morning though, or tired of waking up dehydrated? That's
definitely, yeah. I think that's the main reason I wanted to break that cycle. And I feel, it's so rad to not have a hangover at all every Sunday morning. Like Sunday mornings, my home group's at 9. And there's another group I go to at 6:30 a.m. So I get up at 4:30 a.m. almost every Sunday, unless I have a gig the night before. And I go to 2 meetings, and now I go to church sometimes. So that's 3 positive spiritual things I'm doing before noon every Sunday. So I'm tired by the time those 3 things are done, but I feel great. I don't have a hangover, and I'm feeding my body, my spirituality, and being surrounded by a lot of positive things. So
Now, in terms of your diet, though, when you go to AA, is there some like form of, obviously with the alcohol thing? I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking just in terms of dieting. Do they give you anything when it comes to getting off of alcohol, like implementing like a healthier diet? Is that
There's this other book that's a part of a certain book study that I know of. It's called Living Sober, and it touches on that in one of the chapters. And I ended up just buying that book on my own and reading it at my own pace, and that helped a lot. I think, though, because of my acid reflux history and the surgery, I had meal recommendations coming out of surgery. I think I've kind of I've stuck with that and my doctor's recommendations. So yeah, I've tried to lose weight and eat healthier, cut back on the red meats, stay away from the sugars and desserts. Obviously, there's times when, you can cheat or just enjoy yourself, But yeah, I feel so much better when I eat, healthy. If I'm eating, I don't know, a veggie omelet with fruit and wheat toast instead of pancakes and potatoes. Those changes, no potatoes, no pancakes, no syrup, no sugar, no red meat. Like if I go with that meal, I feel so much better. And if I have, let's say I do something stupid and I see a Del Taco and I want a Del Beef burrito one day. The last time I did that, which was years ago, my body was not very happy. Yeah.
I haven't had fast food in probably 4 years now.
The last couple of times I've been to certain places, it made me sick. Not just because my body
is not
recognizes how unhealthy that is compared to the healthy foods I'm eating. Like if I'm at home, before I substitute teach, I usually have non-fat yogurt with fresh fruit and this keto granola because it has low sugar. If you look at the granola aisle, and 90% of the crap on the cereal aisle is very high sugar, which is very bad for you, and sodium too. So I found this, it's $8 a bag. It's expensive, but it's healthy. So I just use a little bit of this granola and the non-fat Greek yogurt and berries, blackberries, red berries, strawberries, blueberries, whatever, a couple berries. And I just have that, some wheat toast, some water.
So it sounds like you have your diet. You have like certain things like down pat now.
If I stick to it, I'm feeling better. Yeah, but there are days I still like waffles and pancakes sometimes.
Well,
if
again,
you follow my Instagram, you'll see.
You can indulge a little bit.
Yeah.
But so how does that affect just in terms of not only like physically speaking, but like mentally? Because when you eat healthy, it also does something to like, I don't know, just keep you more in check with within yourself. Like I always feel when I was eating like unhealthy stuff, I was always like negative Nelly, and it seems like again, when I like being that positive guy, you know what I mean? But diet plays a huge part in that as well. It's like getting to know you mentioning it earlier with the whole spirituality, getting more in tune with yourself. How much does diet play in that? Do they teach you any of that stuff in AA or?
Yeah, there's some stuff in some of the chapters that talk about eating healthy and then the pastor at my church recommended trying to fast sometimes as much as you can within your medical. Obviously, if you're taking medication, you need to have food with it. You don't go against your doctor's orders. But something I've been doing is intermittent fasting. Like I'll try to eat dinner early, and on days that I'm not working, where I don't have to really have breakfast early. I was always scared of this because I thought I would faint at the gym or whatever. But I'll go on an empty stomach and just have water or like a zero sugar electrolyte drink in the morning, and then take a water with me to the gym, and I'll do my whole workout and then go to brunch at like 1 or 2 p.m. and that'll so I won't eat from like 5 p.m. to almost like that's like a 21 hour fast. I just did it today actually. I ate before I came here, but didn't have any breakfast, and I worked out pretty hard this morning. But yeah, I was always afraid, oh, I'm gonna pass out, you know. But maybe I don't know. Yeah, water gets me through everything, you know. So yeah, drinking a lot of water is important. It's hard to do depending on where you're working, because now I'm babysitting kids in the classroom, and I don't want to be calling someone from the office to watch the classroom where I have to go pee. So I try to time my water drinking when I'm working, and try to go in between classes and stuff like that. So, but on days I'm not working, I'm pounding water all morning. Yeah.
It's good for you. I green tea does that for me.
I love tea.
When I found when I drink green tea, it does something to where I'm like, I don't get hungry as much, so I can last a little bit longer without having food.
Yeah.
So there's tons of benefits to.
There's a lot of benefits to green tea.
How I've changed. I'm just only talking for me. How I've changed my kind of diet by not drinking alcohol, but mostly kind of focusing on teas, just because there's so many varieties of it. Like, I didn't know how many. I'm dumb when it comes to this, but you know, just like alcohol, there are tons of varieties of teas. You know,
personally, I like the English breakfast tea and the Earl Grey because it's black and it has caffeine. But then if you want to drink tea at night and not have caffeine, not have it keep you up, there's chamomile tea. There's jasmine tea, there's green tea, which I think has some caffeine, but it's very good at cleansing out your system and stuff, and it's good for a lot of reasons.
Dude, it helps with ED.
Yes.
Not too many people know that. I
green tea?
Yeah, it helps with erectile dysfunction.
Nice.
There's tons of benefits. Like, each tea has its own benefit, and I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
It's like, depending on which one, like, it can heal certain aspects to where you don't have to take pills for it. You can literally do it another way, and it's actually healthier. So you're not having to submit to big pharma. You can,
right.
you know, have a healthier option that's natural and proven to work. I don't know. There's so many benefits to, like, just making this one change.
Yeah.
Imagine if you made 10 changes.
Right.
How you would see the world differently, or interact with people, or just get to know yourself, and just, I don't know, man. So many benefits to so many. Again, just having one little thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And it portrays to what you're going through, except you've changed like 5 different things, and that's why you are most, you know, super positive sitting and talking with me right now. You know, now what other things have you changed within yourself, just in terms of, again, you know, you go into AA, stop drinking. You found a job where you like going. Obviously, you like going to it. You enjoy doing this.
The benefits of the new job are my commute is like 10 miles or less. It's down the street. Less gas money. I can hit the grocery store on the way home because it's right by the house. I still get up super early to do my PT because I have to physically, but I make more money and work less hours if I want to.
Do you also feel like this a sense of accomplishment though when teaching your students and just going home and being like, yeah, like I made a difference today? Does that ever happen?
Yeah, there was this teacher who said, you need to keep these 2 boys on my seating chart separated from each other. And the one kid, just to let you know, he started the semester with an ankle bracelet because he pistol whipped somebody. I said, okay. So these 2 kids came into my classroom, and right away I just started talking to them even before the bell rang, and they tried to sit by each other. I said, you guys can't sit by each other. They said, why? I said, I don't know. Your teacher just requested that so you can talk to her when she gets back tomorrow. And I started talking to them one-on-one, and just, you know, became friendly with them, and I had no problems with them the whole class, you know, stuff like that. And yeah, that's huge, you know, to be able to help a kid who might be a troublemaker. Like, you know, I started talking to them about sports, and the one kid was into soccer, and I explained how I got into football my senior year, and it, you know, I did start, you know, partying, but it made me a more aggressive football player, and it made me not afraid to talk to girls, and just little things like that little, you know, boys in their puberty go through, all those changes that the kids in high school are going, just to let them know that I remember being their age.
Now, when you were their age, though, and playing football, I'm generally curious because most people do have back problems. Like after doing football, was there any of that outside of high school for you? Did you have to kind of, did you have any issues with your back just playing football in high school? Maybe that led to whatever happened.
I had a concussion once. I just remember that, but yeah, I was in pretty good health at that age. I ran cross country my junior year, and just the back went out over time. I don't know. I used to snowboard. That's a little high impact on your back, landing and stuff like that. Didn't go too crazy, but I enjoyed stuff. There's stuff that I might not be able to do again, or it might not be worth it for me to do that, because if I did have a nasty fall and it re-aggravated my surgery. Guys, I have a lumbar fusion surgeries. It's L4, L5, L5, S1, and there's like a big steel plate in my back and a bunch of bolts holding the vertebrae together. And I basically had 2 herniated discs that were completely smashed and gone. So that's where the hardware's holding the spine apart where the disc used to be. But I think there's still some nerve issues there because of the damage that was done, and I'm still working through that, with the doctors. So
now, how long can you be a sub for before you can get like your teaching credentials? Because I know there's tenure when it comes to being a teacher. So
you can sub forever and never become a teacher if you want, but I wanted to accelerate through it as fast as possible because the pay is a lot better, and I should have I have to take a 3-part CSET test for subject matter competency by the second phase, which is the second semester, which will be spring. So that's what.
Right. So I'm saying, so it takes probably a couple years to get your.
It should only take me a year, 3 semesters.
Okay.
Fall, spring, and summer.
That's fast.
Yeah.
I'm glad you found a.
I hope I can get through it. There's the tests I could retake a couple times, I think, but
yeah, but why would you take it a couple times? Why wouldn't you?
Well, if I didn't pass,
I'm just saying. I know, but the whole it's like your driving test,
right?
It's
a lot, man. I chose history, and I'm studying everything from the Neanderthal people to the Trump era, basically.
Okay. So that's a lot.
It's a lot. There's the history of the United States being found, the Revolutionary War, the Civil War.
Right.
Then there's World War I and II and the Gulf War, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And all the crap going on recently, from Obama to Trump to current events. So, yeah, I mean, there was a U.S. history test I had to take. And I was taking all these practice tests. I got a practice study guide book, and I went from, I took it without even studying at all, and I was only 5 questions away from passing already. So you only need a 70 to pass. And then I was taking these practice tests leading up to the test, and I was getting like the high 90s on them. But then when I went to take the actual test, it was worded so differently that I was like, and I passed, but I barely passed. So yeah, I just want to make sure that when I take these other tests, I'm ready to rock and roll. And there's also short answer on these other tests I'm taking. There were no short answer on that one. And then the CBAS test, which I had to take to get the substitute credential, was math, reading, and writing sections. And I just kept doing better and better on the practice tests for those. My math scores weren't that great because that was so long ago, 95, was the last time I took math, actually, in high school. I was in honors math back then, and then I just got to the point where either I didn't have the right teacher or whatever, but like pre-calculus and statistics were after algebra, I just kind of was struggling a little. And I would love to be a math teacher, but the math tests are like calculus 1, 2, and 3 and stuff. So that's a little, I'd have to I never learned that advanced math. So I chose history because I figured it would be a little up my alley, you know. And it's been rad to go back through the, you know, the Declaration of Independence and all that. It's crazy to look at some of the rights that we didn't have till the 60s and stuff. It's
Well,
like weird.
yeah, everything's
Wasn't
all
that long ago.
No, and everything's kind of up for debate
And
if
now
we still have those rights.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
You know,
A whole nother topic.
yeah, but where another topic I'd like to kind of tackle is because I've always wondered this. I've asked it a few times on here. Do you still have new bands coming out of high school? Like, is that still? Because when I was in high school, we had like music appreciation club and all these kind of different clubs for music, and like bands coming out. Obviously, we started out of high school. Do you see bands coming out of your specific high school where you teach? Like, do you hear
Yeah,
any?
I think I've seen some flyers on the walls and stuff. I'm not sure what kind of music it is or whatever, because I go from campus to campus and I'm in and out real fast, so I don't mingle too much. I just kind of do my job and clock in and clock out. Keep to myself. Study while I'm subbing. You know, I'm studying for these tests and reading books and stuff. So yeah, I've read a lot of books in the last couple of years.
It's good for you.
From the self-help things to intro to Buddhism and the power of positive thinking. There's all these, I don't even know. There's so many books.
Think and Grow Rich.
Dave Mustaine's autobiography, Russell Brand's Recovery, Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusions and How to Be a Man. Those are two of his books I read that kind of helped me realize that, hey, you know, maybe not drinking, because he partied hard. All these guys partied hard and sobered up. So, like, if they can do it and they didn't die from all their partying, then maybe I should take a hint and not push the envelope and just, you know, be a better man. And Duff talks about how he's a good husband and a good father now. And look at now that Guns N' Roses is back and thriving again. You know, since I read that book, he talked about them trying to mend and get back together. And now look what they've done. You know, I think they're one of the highest grossing bands.
They were the highest grossing bands of that summer.
They were really active this last couple of years. That's so cool to see, though, too, because those guys weren't getting along a few years ago, you know. And
but I think the older you get, the more you start to appreciate one another. That's just how
it is.
We
were just talking about getting the band back together. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like seeing again, people relationship first, then band. It always should be like that when you're in. I don't care if you're on a team. A band, just any sort of, again, it doesn't matter if it's a sport, if it's a band, if it's a whatever it is, whatever field you're in.
I had a friend that got into a disagreement with a bandmate. They were really mad at each other, and I just gave him some advice because of me having to sit out of playing for a while for whatever the physical reasons. Economical reasons, whatever. I said, you know, I know you guys are mad at each other right now, but at least you have a band and you're active right now. Don't forget that. Whether you're going to replace him or make amends and realize how important it is that you guys have each other, you know, just don't forget that. And he listened to me, and they're fine. You know, they squashed it, and they're getting along, and they're playing a lot, or else they would have been, you know, not playing anymore and had to find a new, whatever position they were squabbling about. Yeah.
And it's important. I mean, dude, look, we all say stupid shit. We all say shit we don't mean. We all say stuff that we do mean secretly and admit that we don't. Right? It happens. As human beings, that's just what it is, right? We all have disagreements, but we also have this commonality of knowing, like, the importance of everybody's role and knowing, like, what everybody brings to the table is different.
Yeah.
And it's kind of lost in this society where you kind of have to agree on everything, and that's bullshit, because none of us agree on fucking everything.
Right.
There are things that even me and you don't agree on. There are a lot of things that we agree upon. That's part of being a human being, and the beauty aspect of going through this journey called life.
Yeah.
Is being able to learn off of each other and say, okay, well, I don't agree with you on this thing, but I see your point. I see where you're coming from, and this is where I'm coming from, and we can agree to disagree. And that is almost lost. Like, that seems like it's been beaten in everybody's brain where you have to agree on everything, or else.
I think a lot of the AA and the spirituality growth I've gone through, I have been taught to accept people for who they are, and live and let live, and love and tolerance of others as who they are. Like, each person is going to grow at their own pace and in their own way, and that's okay. And the way that my recovery, it works for me, and the only person or thing that can tell me otherwise or change me is not a human. It's a spiritual connection, and it's something inside me that's telling me, Jason, it's wrong to do that. It's hurting your health, your mental well-being, physical well-being. Probably shouldn't do that anymore.
Yeah,
you should try this positive way instead. And when you realize that, and that everyone has their own path like that, and only they can change it, all you really should be doing is loving and supporting each other, really, no matter what.
And I think we're here on earth to do different things. Like, I think
Absolutely.
God, whether you call him God, universe, to me, a higher power, higher being, we uses imperfect humans to do what
we can all learn from each other.
Yeah, and it's okay to have a difference of opinion.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's okay, really. And I think where I'm going with this might be a little negative, but I'm gonna have to say it. I don't think, like, I think being in, let's just apply it to the metal scene out here, right? Where this thing, it's like almost a groupthink mentality where you have to agree on everything. And that's just not what a community is. A community is built upon different ideas.
Right.
And being able to, like, I think maybe not tolerate is the right word here, but just kind of listening and really kind of like, okay, well, again, we can have our disagreements, but we're here for this one collective thing called music. That's the important factor. Right? It's the whole, it's the hang, it's the vibe, it's the overall, the music at the end of the day. And I'm only applying this one little aspect to this. And I've learned a heck of a lot. Like, I've become more spiritual thanks to this whole thing that's happened just within the last month. Like, I'm a different human being than I was last month. And that's the beauty aspect of living, again, this thing called life. We all grow, like you said, we grow at our own pace here. Right?
Right.
Yes, no, maybe so. Might be talking to myself.
No, absolutely.
But I like the fact that we got here through different experiences. That's the beauty aspect. Like, I didn't have to go through AA to get that lesson, or you didn't have to go through what I had to go through to get that specific lesson. Like, we all are getting here at our own pace, and like you said, that's the beautiful aspect of it. Now, what is something that you would like to see? How would you like to grow from here? Is there a specific aspect where you have goals to where you want to get better at this specific aspect of life, or?
I just want to keep working on my physical strength and healing from the surgery. I have to do my part. Some of it's out of my control. It's just going to take time. It's going to take maybe me not pushing myself so hard sometimes. Me learning when to rest, when to push myself harder. Obviously, eating better is going to help me, and working on my core, taking pressure off my back because I lost weight and I'm eating better, and my core strength and my mobility exercises are, helping take pressure off my back. All that stuff's going to help, apparently. And so, yeah. My goal is just to get the teaching credential, finally have an adult income that's not based on rolling the dice on thousands of dollars in guarantees. And
Well, stableism. You want something
stability.
stable.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to, solidify my relationship, which will be celebrating 13 years in July, and eventually settle down together and grow old together, wherever that may be. And, until then, I'm just balancing what Jason thinks he wants to do. Continue to write and record music and play some shows. Yeah, I'm in the gym on the days off. Like today, I was there for a few hours today. That was after my PT and my warm up in the morning. So physical fitness is a big thing, not just because of my back, but I've always been like that. And I feel like it's even more important now, Yeah. And now there's no real excuse except the days when I think I should listen to my body and my body's telling me, hey, maybe you should take a day off today, which I think I just did on Sunday. So, yeah.
I like it. Well, Jason, I want to thank you for coming on and talking and hanging with me. I truly do appreciate you just as a human being. I hope you'll come back on soon and hang and want to hang. But where can people find everything Jason Tyler related, the Lazarus Casket stuff, support, obviously the people who want to support you? Where is the best place for people to support you?
I'm still on Instagram. It's under Jason L. Tyler, Tyler. And the link to the band and the band's links are in my personal Instagram in the bio, and also at Lazarus Casket, LazarusCasket. And the link in bio for the band there has tickets to our upcoming shows, links to the official video we put out last year for Matalos a Todos, our Bandcamp, which has all our albums and some merch on it, the cassette, the CD. The CDs aren't up there. You have to come see us in person to get one of those right now. And we have some new shirts and tank tops we'll have for sale at the show on July 16th, 2023 at Alex's Bar in Long Beach. You can get tickets for that now, and the link is in the bio there on the Instagram. And ADHD Entertainment has some shows coming up. Just check out the Facebook page for that. And a lot of those shows are, being managed. ADHD Entertainment is managing Lazarus Casket. Yeah. Something that I built for everyone. I'm kind of taking back and using it as a tool for my own band right now, which I'm allowed to do because I can only do so much. I'm becoming a teacher, so, I hope to see you guys out there at other shows in the future. Somewhat, depending on where it is. I like all kinds of different things. I'm just kind of, as I've gotten older, just enjoying the finer things in life, the simple things, and go see your favorite band before it's too late, man. Like Aerosmith is announcing a farewell tour. We've lost a lot of people locally and idols in the past few years. Suddenly, young people that have died that have had a full career that are older. But yeah, I would say, life is precious, and, don't take anything for granted, live life to its fullest and take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Yeah. And thanks for having me on, Tanner.
I appreciate you, man. I again, you're always welcome here. Appreciate everything you do for us. And again, on behalf of the community, thank you so much for giving a huge part of your life to us to this crazy thing called the music business. Because again, it's so, it never gets, what is the word I'm looking for here? Like, people don't tell you these things. It's always kind of like it goes unnoticed, which it doesn't. So again, on behalf of everybody, thank you for all that you do. And you absolutely deserve everybody's support when it comes to Lazarus Casket teaching thing. We all understand. So just keep doing you, man. And we look forward to doing many more, hopefully, conversations and shows and just hanging out with you. So
thanks for having me on, Tanner. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And for another episode of Poppitt's Corner, guys, we're out of here. Cheers.